I have changed, as you can see. I would like to be, what my ideal job would be? My ideal job would be one of those presenters on like those shop at home networks. I just, ooh, when I did have cable, I would watch that stuff all the time. I wasn't going to buy anything. Well, once in a while I'd buy something, but I wouldn't really buy anything. It's just something, I think that's the same reason why I like the commentaries on the DVD, like the director's commentaries or one of the stars of the movies, one of the actors in the movies commentaries, because I just like people to hear people talk. I don't know, you know, um, I can sit in courtrooms all day just listening to people talk. I just, for some reason, it's just soothing to me. I go to sleep to a DVD playing with the commentary playing. So I don't know if that would possibly be, but I do put the sleep timer on it. I can't sleep with that thing going on all night because it'll wake me up. Um, I was going to talk about clothing. In the medieval times, we pretty much knew what we can pretty much imagine what people wore then from different things we see Robin Hood and things we see on television, but people didn't have a lot of clothing. It was really uh a very, very poor person may have two outfits, something to work in and then something maybe, to wear to church or something, if they're good clothes that they wore to a wedding or something like that. But it probably only had one pair of shoes, maybe, you know, um, maybe two. Um, a lot of emphasis was on undergarments. Pretty much what they do is they wear the same outer clothes, but they change their underclothes. And in medieval times, of course, there was no cotton, and I had to keep you have to keep that in mind. See, that was another thing I was telling about um, research is that you read something about medieval time and they got on a cotton something. You're like, come on, you know better than that. It wasn't no cotton. The linen, things were made out of linen, things were made out of silk, and silk was like only from the very rich because, of course, it had to come from, if someone traveled east, they'd have to bring it back. So it basically is like it had to be imported. So people wore silk and people who wore color things that were color, like the church, they wore purple. That was for royalty. Purple is the color for royalty. People had different colors that they wore, and the average person just had some brownish beiges, whatever color the yarn was or whatever color the linen and stuff were. Of course, uniforms were made a little bit better, and that's why like a lot of men were in the military actually in uh, medieval times. They would actually take their wives with them and their families with them because it was the only way they could support them. So you imagine a soldier. I mean, it's not funny, soldiers being over there. But can you imagine a soldier in Afghanistan taking his family with him? But basically that's what happened. And also in medieval times, as far as weapons were concerned, if you couldn't afford to buy any weapons, you didn't have any weapons. So if you could afford a horse, you had a horse. If you couldn't afford a bow or crossbow or a um, longbow or whatever, you didn't have one. So you ran everywhere and you hit somebody with a stick or something like that, which is pretty grim. Clothing in the 1800s. I looked up a lot of stuff. It seems those umpire waist kind of dresses were like in vogue. Of course, my character, her work clothes are like cotton, rough cotton dresses, things like that. And then she has really good clothes. And like I was talking about before, when she goes to New Orleans, she really likes wearing silks and linen and satins and, sheer chiffons and things like that because she couldn't wear those things back in Missouri. Well, for one thing, she didn't have anywhere to wear anything like that. Men, their suits. My male character also, Jeez, that was a pleasant sound. That's cranberry juice. That's my autumn glass. Is that autumn glass? Um, Men, especially men, didn't have very many clothes at all. They may have two or three pairs, but even rich people may have only five outfits, to their name. And it's one, and my male character also goes through this transformation of wearing work clothes and only dressing up when there's a council meeting, or only dressing up when it's a church function, or he actually goes to church to, changing clothes two or three times a day, having a linen suit in the morning, then what changed what he into riding clothes, and then what he would change into in the evening to have dinner and that kind of thing. And I really enjoy writing that stuff. That's the stuff I really enjoy writing that stuff. In the World War II thing, the new book, of course, everything, there was a shortage of everything. Skirts were really, really short because of material, because it was a war on, so it was a shortage of material. So people pretty much, women, the dresses were short, the material was like, you can look at some of those 40 movie musicals and stuff made in the 40s and stuff like that. Even like the nicest things, the best gowns and stuff had tiny little, hem in them, and that big, not to waste any material. And that's why um in the 50s skirts got so big. And because it was like a time of abundance, because people, the war was over. Well, they people were in Korea, but the war, pretty much World War II was over. And the a lot of the shortages that were suffered during the war years, when the war was over, manufacturing just went crazy. So skirts were long and big, and there were a million, crinoline slips, petticoats, and stuff. I used to love wearing that stuff. My dress that I'm going to wear to the Pulitzer Prize is going to be green. I picked it out a long time ago. I was taking this job like 20 some years ago. Um, a job, kind of like job coaching, how to do a resume. It was for people who hadn't worked in a while. So, that kind of thing. And um, I had picked out, we had to do what we call a dream book. You had to put the dream, and I wish I could find that doggone thing now. I really wish I could find it, but I can't find it. And I don't usually lose things. I think it was in some of that storage stuff that I just threw away, but um, by accident, because I accidentally threw my son's DNA papers away. How did I do that? But I think, I must have had it in a box or something like that. Anyway, so we had to pick out, we had to cut pictures out, and, that explain what we wanted in life, what our future was, what our goals were. And when I won the Pulitzer Prize, I had picked out this green dress. It's not, it's like I don't see anything to color. It's a forest green that's going to have a huge petticoat, kind of like a waltz length gown, and the shoes and the gloves and the little, bolero that's going to go on top of it. I have the whole outfit ready. I know exactly what I'm going to say, kind of, because I'm going to write that down. Pulitzer acceptance. Um, the thing about it is, I had the um speech, the acceptance speech for the Pulitzer Prize has changed over the years. When I first started thinking about it, it was more or less cussing everybody. I mean, not cussing, but telling everybody to kiss my behind. All those people that fired me, all those people that said my work wasn't good enough, all those people that, criticized me, all those people that thought I was crazy, for following my dream, I told them to kiss my behind. And then afterwards, I thought, okay, no, I'm not giving you guys any credit. I'm not going to do that. Screw you. It's enough that you see I'm standing there. But one thing I am going to say is this, that all the people out there, I'll tell you, the next time somebody big or and black and old and a female comes into your office, they might be the person that outsells Gone with the Wind. And you pick that little 20-some-year-old who's sleeping on her mama's couch, doesn't give a doggone about your job because she doesn't care, you know. So stop and think about who you're turning down for a job. Think about it. Think about it. I'm sure Dr. Seuss um, took his worked to 11 publishers. He got published on the 11th try. Suppose after five, he'd have listened to everybody and went, oh, well, six, seven, eight, suppose. And that's what I'm okay with that because I know I'm going to get some rejections, but I really don't think I'm going to get too many rejections. I really shouldn't get any rejections, but I'll laugh at them. They'll know. I'll like pull my ear. No, no, that's what I do for my son. I like that. I'll kind of like, maybe I'll touch my nose or something. Go, yeah. But like I said, last clothing as far as the second part of autumn um is kind of the same, but because she's in the castle, it's more velvets and thick, clothes like that. Fur, and even though fur is not politically correct nowadays, back in that day it was a sign of wealth. They also wore fur for really for ceremonies. The Indians, for ceremonies and stuff. And so she wears fur, and that's just a sign of how well she's cared for, and how wealthy that her man is, that she can have these things made out of fur. And plus, living in a castle, it's pretty cold. So I imagine her clothes are really beautiful like that. She has a lot of jewelry. As you can tell, I love jewelry. She has a lot of jewelry. My Pulitzer Prize outfit, I'm gonna have these big um emeralds and maybe blue sapphire necklace. I haven't figured all that out yet, but I just know what the gown looks like. I have a picture in my mind. Um, the third part of the trilogy, she wears very expensive um, clothing. You know, uh, very expensive handmade, hand tailored clothing. And somebody wanted to know why my main characters, always seems to be wealthy. Well, because being poor is only romantic when you're not poor. I have been poor. I am poor. And it's no joke, okay? That it's no romance to being poor. But that's why my characters are well to do. So that part of the main characters, so that part of their life is set. They don't have that struggle of eating and not having enough food, and not being able to take care of their children, and not having proper health care. Speaking of kids, medieval times, if they made it to a year, it was a miracle. It was absolute miracle. I think Mozart had 7 pregnancies. I think his wife had seven, actually bore 7 children. Only two of them lived to adulthood. Two boys lived to adulthood. In the Victorian age, it was pretty much the same thing. It was a throw up, a toss up if a kid made it. I mean, it's not funny. I'm not laughing, but it's a toss up. Pretty much my character in the 1800s, she because of being, well, just like nowadays, she had very good health care because her man has money. They had money, so she had health care. She actually had a doctor deliver her baby, which I thought about that for a minute because she happens to kind of be a doula herself. And then of course, there was the, oh, I'll have him deliver the baby because the doctor isn't there yet. And I thought, nah, it's too corny. And you have to stop yourself with some of that corny stuff. Some of the um uh some of the uh things that you write, some of the formula just has to be corny, and it has to be the formula, but some of that stuff is just too corny. I was like, no, 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 no. And I'm also thinking and it's also too the evolution of my characters. They used to didn't have children, and now I find it that it's a part of all of them. And the third in the trilogy, she actually has two children, which is very important to the plot. The kind of children that she has. She, I don't want to say genetically produces her children, but she kind of takes into consideration what she wants her children to look like. Kind of like when you go to a sperm bank, but she does it the old fashioned way. But she's figured out, because I think because when I was younger, motherhood had nothing to do with, I don't know. I don't feel that because I always thought, my mother when she was younger and stuff was very glamorous. I'm always been a very glamorous person, even after I did have my son. I went out to nightclubs, I had all kinds of clubs. Even now, I like to look nice, and I think having raised a son, I just think it's a part of a woman's life that, of course, changes her life, for the better. Most of the time, I felt that my life was, made for the better by having my son. And I just thought it was a part of femaleness. And plus, too, I kind of thought about the kind of women who would be reading the book. And the kind of women who would be reading the book, like I said, has scrubs on, has a black and white, out black pants, white shirt on, the pullover with the name on the side of the phone company and that kind of stuff. And a lot of women have children, and to have children be a part of a character's life, watching her deal with them, watching the different things that happens because of her children, with her children. It also too, but um, in the medieval, the prequel, she does find out that she's pregnant, but it's towards the end of the whole story. And but about the 1800s story, it's more I had to keep conscious of how slow. That was another one of those things that I was talking about before, fast and slow. You want the kid to grow up and be able to crawl and walk and stand up and stuff like that, but I also have to keep in mind a lot of um, that children grow. They seem like they grow fast to us, but they actually grow very very slowly, and that is also part of, like I was saying, that I had to watch out. See, that's all the stuff that goes with doing any kind of work that has to do with a period where you don't live in, you don't know things. Like I said, I don't know what they ate. I can guess what they ate. I can guess. I can do research in what they wore. I can describe what they do all day, what I think they would do all day. I try to put myself in the what their children would wear, what the men would wear, what they wear when it was cold, what they wear, what, in the summer and different stuff like that. And um, I'm making it sound really complicated, but I just don't want anybody to go, gotcha, gotcha. They didn't have that then. They didn't do that. And when you have really intelligent readers, like I I consider romance readers very, very intelligent. And like I said, I never write down to anybody ever, ever, unless I would be writing a child's book, and really can't see myself doing that. I might write a story for my grandkids though. I might do that. Write them a little story, but make a little book for them. But that's uh, that's all part of it. That's all part of when you decide to write about an era that you actually don't live in. That's why science fiction writers, they just go nuts because they can create like their own world. I admire that about them. So it's for 1946 or something like that. I'm gonna go now because when they're 20 minutes, they take too long to upload. So I'm gonna go. I may do like two more and then I've got to eat something. I'm really, really hungry and I'm really tired. So that's why I'm rambling. So talk to you guys later.